A professional gamer from Thailand has been caught cheating, and worse than that, she now faces serious prison time. Imagine training for years, becoming the best female player in your entire country at one of the most popular mobile games in Asia, earning a professional contract with one of the biggest esports organisations on the planet, and then representing your nation on the international stage at the SEA Games, an event watched by tens of millions of people across Southeast Asia. And then imagine throwing all of that away because you decided the rules simply did not apply to you. That is what happened with Nephat Warasin, better known online as Tokyogurl, the woman who was once Thailand's most celebrated female Arena of Valor player, and who is now awaiting a court verdict that could send her to prison. This story doesn't end with a disqualification notice or a social media meltdown. It ends, as of right now, with a criminal arrest, formal charges under Thailand's Computer Crime Act, and a court date of the 17th of March 2026. And today I am going to walk you through every single detail of what happened because it is one of the most jaw-dropping, dramatic and genuinely scandalous stories that esports has ever produced. I am Lady Decade, and if you like your gaming content with a bit of actual substance, then hit that subscribe button because today we are talking about the Tokyogurl cheating scandal, the arrest, and what it tells us about the state of competitive gaming. The world is a complicated place right now, so if you need a break from a courtroom drama and criminal charges and the slow motion collapse of people's professional reputations, I have got you covered. You can use my links below to grab some genuinely brilliant games at incredible prices. This includes the likes of the critically acclaimed and newly released Resident Evil Requiem at 31% off, and even huge cash off exciting pre-orders such as 32% off Fatal Frame 2 Remake, 27% off Monster Hunter Stories 3, 24% off the PC version of Death Stranding 2, and up to 90% off of thousands more great games. Every purchase helps support this channel, and if you really love what I do here, you can gain access to my behind the scenes cosplay library and more by becoming a backer on my Lady Decade Patreon. I've also started posting outfit of the episode photos in my all-new style gallery, since so many of you keep complimenting the outfits I wear in these videos. So a huge thank you to those who keep this channel going. Right, let's get into it because this story is absolutely wild.
An enemy has been defeated!
To understand why this scandal hit Thailand so hard, you need to understand what Arena of Valor actually is in that part of the world. In the West, it's a fairly obscure mobile MOBA, a team strategy game played on phones that most people over here either vaguely recognise or have never heard of at all. But in Thailand, ROV is enormous. It is officially recognised as a professional sport, and it has its own major league, and its viewership figures rival traditional sports broadcasts. The game has been a point of national pride, a cultural touchstone, and a legitimate career path for talented players for the better part of a decade. So, when the national team takes to the SEA game stage, people are watching. Millions of people. Tokyogurl was the jewel in the crown of that scene. She was considered the best female ROV player in Thailand, full stop. And she was the team's primary carry, which in MOBA terms means that she was the player the entire strategy was built around in the late game. The one expected to deal the decisive damage when it mattered the most. She had a professional contract with Talon Esports, one of the most recognisable esports organisations in the Asian circuit. She had fans, she had followers, she had everything. And she had, apparently, a plan that had been quietly running underneath all of it for quite some time. Because here is where the story gets dark, and I want you to understand that what we're about to get into is not a moment of panic or a one-off mistake. This was a calculated and long-running deception. Enter Cheo, known online as Cheerio, a 23-year-old man who was, according to later police investigations and his own public confession, being paid between 300 and 500 baht per session to secretly log into Tokyogurl's account and play in her place. He was not just playing casual ranked games either. Investigators later concluded that he was doing this across ranked matches, scrims, and potentially competitive events well before the SEA games even came around, essentially building and maintaining her reputation as an elite player while she took the credit and the contracts. The two of them used Discord and shared credentials to coordinate the deception across different locations, and it had apparently been going on for months before anyone caught on. So how does something like that go undetected for so long? That is, actually a question worth sitting with, because it tells you something quite uncomfortable about how easily a performance can be manufactured when the people doing the manufacturing are careful and motivated. But of course, they were not careful enough. And on the 16th of December of 2025, well, it all collapsed. The 33rd SEA Games were being held in Bangkok, which added an extra layer of pressure and scrutiny to Thailand's performance, because this was a home crowd, a home event, and an expectation of national glory. The women's ROV upper bracket final pitted Thailand directly against Vietnam, and Tokyogurl was sitting at the competition desk, device in hand, representing her country in front of everyone, and almost immediately, something looked wrong. Referees watching from the sidelines noticed that the movement of Tokyogurl's fingers on her screen were not quite matching what her hero was doing in the game. In any other context, you might dismiss that as nervousness or a camera angle issue, but competition referees are specifically trained to watch for exactly this kind of inconsistency, because it is one of the telltale signs of remote control access, where someone somewhere else is actually operating the device. When they investigated further, they found evidence of third-party software running on her competition device, the kind of application that would allow someone off-site to see her screen in real time and control her gameplay remotely. Thailand lost the match 3-0. Tokyogurl was immediately disqualified, and the Thai women's ROV team was effectively done at the SEA Games 33. And then, because the story could not possibly get worse, well, yeah, it got worse. Within hours of the disqualification, the Esports Association of Thailand made a decision that must have been agonising and withdrew the entire women's ROV team from the remainder of the competition, including a lower bracket final against Laos that they were leading 1-0. They said that they were doing it to protect national integrity. The teammates who had trained alongside Tokyogurl, who had done nothing wrong, who had shown up and competed fairly and were in a position to win a medal, were sent home. Their SEA games were over because of what she had done. The team captain, known as Give Me a Kiss, and the rest of the squad went on Thai television looking devastated. They said their hearts were shattered, and they apologised to the fans. They did. Some of them also told the media that they had actually confronted Tokyogurl in the days before the final, that something had felt off, that they had asked her directly whether she was cheating, and that she had responded with anger and demanded an apology from them for even suggesting it. They had no hard evidence at the time, so they had to let it go and trust her, but that trust cost them everything. Meanwhile, Tokyogurl's professional life was disintegrating in real time. Gariner, the publisher and organiser of ROV in Thailand, issued a lifetime ban from all ROV competitions effective immediately. Talon Esports terminated her contract the same day. The ROV Esports Committee followed with its own lifetime competitive ban. She deleted her Facebook account after it was flooded with abuse, and then, before going dark, she posted a lengthy statement insisting she had done nothing wrong. Her defence, and I want to be fair and give it to you properly because it is actually quite interesting, went something like this. She said she played alone and that the device that she was using could not have been screen shared because it was connected via cable rather than wirelessly, and that if she had really been receiving outside help, she would have won, not lost 0-3 to Vietnam. She framed her erratic behaviour at the desk as the result of extreme stress and nerves. And she said that she was so overwhelmed by the pressure of it all that she actually ended up in hospital after the match. Then she claimed that the finger movement inconsistency that the referees had noticed was simply the physical manifestation of someone panicking under enormous pressure. It is, I will admit, not an entirely stupid argument on the surface. Stress does genuinely cause some people to behave unusually. Losing when you are supposedly cheating does look suspicious in a particular way, and the hospitalisations did actually happen, which gives it a veneer of credibility. But here's the thing, the referees did not go looking for a cheater because she was behaving nervously. They went looking because the technical logs showed 2 accounts logged into the same game application simultaneously through the same device at the same time during a live competition match. That is not a nervousness artifact, that is a forensic data point. And when combined with what the investigators later found during the police phase of this story, her explanation starts to look very, very thin. On the 2nd of January 2026, Cheerio posted a TikTok video that would have been astonishing if the whole situation had not already been so extreme. He sat in front of a camera, publicly admitted that he had been playing Tokyogurl's accounts for her, apologised to fans and to the authorities, and explained that he had been in financial difficulty and that she had offered him work. He said he followed her instructions and that he now deeply regretted it. It was an extraordinary public confession, and it was also, from a legal standpoint, a significant problem for both of them. On the 4th of February 2026, the Central Investigation Bureau of Thailand executed what some outlets described as Operation Ghostbuster, conducting raids on at least 3 locations in Nonthaburi and Nakhon Pathom linked to the pair. They seized phones, computers, IP logs, and chat histories. Among the material recovered was the specific phone that investigators had said had been used to access a tournament server during the Thailand vs Vietnam match, along with messages coordinating the Discord screen sharing arrangements during the competition. The IP address and login records were matched forensically to the exact timestamp of the SEA Games match. And on the 12th of February 2026, Naphat Warasin, known as Tokyogurl, and Chayo, known as Cheerio, were arrested. Both were taken in by the Central Investigation Bureau and formally charged under Thailand's Computer Crime Act for unauthorised access to computer systems and misuse of computer data. Both suspects confessed during questioning, according to police statements, admitting to the remote control fraud during the December 2025 women's ROV match against Vietnam. The potential penalties they're facing include up to 2 years in prison and fines of approximately 40,000 baht. The case file was handed to prosecutors and a verdict is scheduled for the 17th of March 2026, which, at the time that I'm recording this, is just 11 days away. So what makes this tale particularly juicy is that we're not going to be waiting years for the story to resolve. No, we're going to be waiting days. So make sure you subscribe if you don't want to miss me covering the outcome. The esports industry has spent years trying to argue that it deserves a seat at the table alongside traditional sports. It has fought for recognition from national sports organisations, pushed for inclusion in international games events like the SEA Games, and worked hard to build institutional credibility with governing bodies and broadcasters. And for the most part, especially in Asia, it has succeeded. ROV at the SEA Games is not some fringe afterthought. It is a properly organised, properly refereed, properly sanctioned competition with real consequences for winning and losing. And the reason that Tokyogurl's case has triggered criminal charges rather than just sporting sanctions is precisely because of that institutional legitimacy. The Computer Crime Act of Thailand is not some creative stretch to punish a naughty gamer. It's being applied because what happened at that competition desk was, under Thai law, unauthorised manipulation of a computer system during an official event. The esports world wanted to be taken seriously as a sport, and therefore cheating in it can now be taken seriously as a crime. Tokyogurl is about to find out exactly what it means when an institution takes that seriously at the level of a court of law. But amongst this mess, there's also something worth saying about the people who were genuinely wronged in this situation, and that is the teammates. Those women trained just as hard as Tokyogurl did. They competed fairly. They were in the middle of a run that had them winning their bracket at a home SEA Games in front of their own country's fans, and they had nothing to do with the deception that brought it all down. And the thing I keep coming back to is that at least some of them apparently already had doubts before the final, already felt something was wrong, already asked her directly, and were dismissed with anger. They were put in an impossible situation by someone they trusted, and they paid for her decision with their medals, their moment, and a piece of their public reputation that they will spend years trying to repair. Behind every cheating scandal in sports, professional or amateur, there are almost always teammates, opponents and officials who absorb costs they never agreed to bear. So, where does this leave us and what happens next? Well, as mentioned, on the 17th of March 2026, the Pathumwan District Court in Bangkok is scheduled to deliver its verdict in the case of the State of Thailand versus Naphat Warasin and Chayo. The possibilities range from a suspended sentence with fines to actual imprisonment, and given that both defendants have reportedly already confessed, the direction of the verdict is not exactly in serious doubt. What does remain open, though, is the severity of the punishment and whether the court decides to make an example of this case in a way that sends a message to the broader esports community across Southeast Asia. If I had to bet, and I'm not a lawyer, so take this for exactly what it is, I would expect fines and a suspended sentence rather than actual prison time for a first offence involving no physical harm. But I have been surprised before, and the fact that this is going all the way to a criminal prosecution rather than stopping at sporting sanctions does suggest that the Thai authorities are sending a deliberate message here. They want everyone who has ever considered doing something like this to see what happens when you get caught. And honestly, after watching the way esports has handled its integrity problems over the years, I cannot entirely say that the message is the wrong one to send. The verdict comes down on the 17th of March, and I will be covering it the moment it does. So, as I said, make sure you are subscribed and have your notifications turned on, because this story is not over yet and the ending is going to be really quite important. So, don't forget you can use my links below to grab some genuinely brilliant games at incredible prices. This includes a critically acclaimed, newly released Resident Evil Requiem at 31% off, huge discounts on exciting pre-orders such as 32% off Fatal Frame 2 Remake, 27% off Monster Hunter Stories 3, 24% off the PC version of Death Stranding 2, and up to 90% off thousands more great games. Every purchase helps support this channel, so thank you to anyone who uses those links. And if you really enjoy what I do here, you can also access my behind the scenes cosplay library and more by becoming a backer over on my Lady Decade Patreon. I've even started posting outfit of the episode photos in my all new style gallery, since so many of you keep complimenting the outfits I wear in these videos. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.